The desert air carries whispers tonight, settling across the vast expanse of Nevada, where Joshua trees stand like silent sentinels against the star-scattered sky. And here at the Dreamwave Motel, where the neon sign flickers in shades of blue and pink, stories find their way to us like tumbleweeds carried on the warm evening breeze. This is a place where travelers pause between destinations, where the ordinary and extraordinary converge in the quiet hours, and where tales of the unknown drift through the thin walls like desert sand. You've chosen to rest here tonight, drawn perhaps by the same forces that pull so many others to this crossroads, between the known and the mysterious. The same currents that have carried countless stories through these rooms, each one leaving its mark like footprints in the sand. And as the distant hum of late-night traffic fades into the rhythm of the desert night, you find yourself ready to listen, ready to drift into a world where the boundaries between reality and possibility blur like heat mirages on a summer highway. It was allegedly March 15th, 1989, when a soft-spoken electronics technician named Robert Scott Lazar first claimed to have worked at a facility he described as S4, a site he said existed south of the main Area 51 complex. According to his account, the temperature that evening was dropping into the 40s as he prepared to share a story that would forever change how the world viewed the classified activities hidden in the Nevada desert. And as you settle into the worn but comfortable chair by the window, watching the last light fade from the western horizon, his story begins to unfold like a map to territories that officially don't exist. You are 24 years old, and the clearance badge clipped to your shirt pocket feels heavier than it should as you drive through the pre-dawn darkness toward what you've been told is simply another government facility. The headlights of your car cut through the crisp desert air as you follow the unmarked road that branches off from the main highway, leading deeper into the restricted zones where the public isn't meant to venture. Your hands grip the steering wheel as you navigate the winding path, and you can feel the weight of the non-disclosure agreements you've signed. Documents that made it clear that even acknowledging this place exists could land you in federal prison. The facility appears gradually through the darkness, its angular structures emerging from the desert floor like geometric formations that nature never intended. According to the briefing materials you've been given, this is S4, a research and development site focused on what your supervisors described vaguely as advanced propulsion systems. The guard at the checkpoint examines your credentials with the methodical precision of someone who has processed countless similar arrivals, and as the gate swings open with a mechanical hum, you drive toward what will allegedly become the most extraordinary chapter of your professional life. Your first weeks at the facility follow patterns that seem almost mundane, given the security surrounding the operation. You work primarily with electronic systems, troubleshooting communications equipment and maintaining the sophisticated monitoring devices that track everything from air pressure to electromagnetic signatures throughout the complex. The work is technically challenging but feels familiar, grounded in the same principles of physics and engineering that governed your previous positions in the private sector. Yet there are details that don't quite fit the conventional narrative of government research, moments when conversations halt abruptly when you enter a room, or when entire sections of the facility remain off-limits despite your growing security clearance. It's during your third month at S4 that you first encounter what your colleagues refer to in hushed tones as the Special Projects Division. You've been assigned to assist with power distribution upgrades in a section of the facility that requires additional security screening, and as you follow your supervisor through a series of increasingly secure checkpoints, the atmosphere around you seems to shift from merely classified to something approaching the surreal. The corridors here are different, lined with materials that seem to absorb sound and painted in colors that don't quite match the rest of the complex. And you notice that the air itself feels different, charged with an energy that makes the hair on your arms stand up. The briefing room where you receive your new assignment is windowless and sterile, furnished only with a metal table and chairs that reflect the harsh fluorescent lighting. Your supervisor, a man in his 50s whose name you know only as Dr. Mitchell, explains that you'll be working on what he describes as exotic energy systems, technologies that push the boundaries of conventional physics. He mentions element 115, a theoretical substance that allegedly possesses properties that could revolutionize our understanding of gravity and space-time. And as he speaks, you notice that his words carry the weight of someone describing not theoretical possibilities, but established facts. The workshop where you'll be spending your days is unlike anything you've encountered in your career as an electronics technician. The equipment here seems to blur the line between cutting-edge technology and something that might have been imagined by science fiction writers. There are devices that generate fields you can feel but not see. Instruments that measure forces that don't appear in any textbooks you've studied. And throughout the space, there's a persistent low-frequency hum that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. Your new colleagues work with the focused intensity of people who have become accustomed to the impossible, and they speak in technical terms that reference principles of physics that supposedly don't exist. According to the documentation you're given access to, the project you're joining involves the reverse engineering of propulsion systems recovered from what the files describe simply as non-terrestrial craft. The language in these documents is clinical and matter-of-fact, discussing advanced materials and energy sources with the same tone that might be used to describe conventional aircraft engines. You read about gravitational field manipulation, about power sources that allegedly generate energy through the manipulation of atomic structure at levels that conventional science considers impossible, and about craft that can reportedly achieve velocities and maneuverability that defy every known law of physics. Your first direct encounter with what Dr. Mitchell refers to as the vehicles occurs on a Thursday evening in late spring, when the desert air carries the scent of blooming sage, and the temperature has dropped to a comfortable 68 degrees. You've been working late on power coupling modifications when he approaches your workstation and suggests you might benefit from seeing the practical application of the systems you've been helping to maintain. The walk to the adjacent hangar takes you through a series of security doors that require both keycard access and biometric verification. And with each checkpoint, you feel yourself moving deeper into a world that officially doesn't exist. The hangar itself is vast and dimly lit, its ceiling disappearing into shadows that seem to absorb the sparse lighting. And there, positioned on specialized support structures that cradle them like precious artifacts, are three craft that challenge every assumption you've ever held about the limits of human technology. They are disc-shaped, each approximately 30 feet in diameter, with surfaces that seem to shift between metallic and something approaching translucent, depending on the angle of observation. The curves of their hulls follow geometric principles that feel both alien and oddly familiar, as if they represent a natural evolution of aerodynamic design that human engineering has simply never achieved. Dr. Mitchell explains that these vehicles were allegedly recovered from crash sites in the southwestern United States over a period of several decades, each one representing a slightly different approach to the same fundamental principles of propulsion and control. The craft closest to you, he says, was reportedly found in 1953 near Kingman, Arizona, its hull intact, but its power systems damaged by what appeared to be some form of electromagnetic pulse. The second vehicle allegedly came from a 1962 incident near Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, though the official records of that event remain classified at levels above even your current clearance. And the third craft, the one that seems to emit a faint blue glow from beneath its hull, was reportedly recovered as recently as 1987 from a location in Nevada that appears on no public maps. As you approach the nearest vehicle, you notice that the air around it feels different, charged with an energy that makes your skin tingle and creates a sensation like standing too close to a powerful radio transmitter. The hull material, when Dr. Mitchell allows you to touch it briefly, feels neither warm nor cold, but seems to exist at exactly the temperature of your hand, as if it automatically adjusts, to match whatever comes into contact with it. The surface has a texture that's simultaneously smooth and slightly yielding, like metal that has somehow achieved the flexibility of organic tissue, and under your fingertips, you can feel a subtle vibration as if the craft itself is alive and humming with barely contained energy. Your work over the following months involves analyzing the power distribution systems that allegedly allow these vehicles to function, and the technology you encounter challenges every principle of engineering you've ever learned. The energy source appears to be based on the controlled manipulation of gravitational fields, using element 115 as both fuel and catalyst in a process that Dr. Mitchell describes as gravity amplification. According to the technical documentation, this element, when subjected to specific electromagnetic frequencies, allegedly produces an anti-gravity effect by distorting the fabric of space-time itself, creating a localized gravitational field that can be directed and controlled with precision that surpasses anything in conventional physics. The propulsion system, as it's been explained to you, reportedly works by creating what the documents describe as a gravitational gradient, where the craft essentially falls continuously toward a point in space that it generates ahead of itself. This process allegedly allows for instantaneous acceleration without the G-forces that would normally be fatal to any occupants, because the entire craft and everything within it exists within the same gravitational field. The implications of this technology extend far beyond simple transportation, suggesting possibilities for energy generation, manufacturing processes, and space exploration that could transform human civilization in ways that are difficult to comprehend. Your daily routine at S4 settles into patterns that feel both mundane and extraordinary as you work to maintain and improve systems that officially don't exist while surrounded by technology that challenges the fundamental assumptions of modern science. You arrive each morning before dawn, when the desert air is cool and clear, and you spend your days troubleshooting power coupling issues, calibrating field generators, and documenting system performance in reports that will be classified at levels that ensure they'll never see public scrutiny. Your colleagues work with the focused dedication of people who understand the magnitude of what they're dealing with, and conversations during breaks often drift toward philosophical questions about humanity's place in a universe that appears to be far more populated and technologically advanced than most people realize. The security measures surrounding your work extend into every aspect of your life at the facility, with regular polygraph examinations, psychological evaluations, and restrictions on personal communications that ensure complete isolation from the outside world during your shifts. You're housed in dormitory-style accommodations on the base, sharing meals with other personnel whose work you're not cleared to know about, and whose presence serves as a constant reminder that S4 is involved in projects that span far beyond your own assignment. The dining hall conversations are carefully neutral, focusing on weather, sports, and other topics that avoid any reference to the extraordinary nature of the work being conducted just a few hundred yards away. According to the briefing materials you've been given access to, the reverse engineering program at S4 has been ongoing since the early 1950s, representing one of the longest-running classified research projects in American history. The documentation suggests that progress has been steady but slow, with each breakthrough leading to new questions and challenges that require years of additional research. The materials reference other facilities involved in similar work, including locations in Ohio, New Mexico, and Nevada, suggesting a network of classified sites all working toward the same ultimate goal of understanding and replicating the technology found in the recovered craft. The technical challenges you encounter in your work are unlike anything in conventional engineering, requiring approaches that blend quantum physics, materials science, and electromagnetic theory in ways that push the boundaries of human understanding. The power systems alone operate on principles that seem to violate conservation of energy, generating far more output than their apparent input should allow. The field generators create effects that can be measured and documented, but not fully explained by current scientific models. And the control systems respond to inputs in ways that suggest a level of artificial intelligence that exceeds anything known to exist in human technology. During your 6th month at the facility, you're given access to what Dr. Mitchell describes as the historical archives, a collection of documents and materials that allegedly trace the development of the reverse engineering program from its earliest days. These files contain photographs, technical drawings, and incident reports that paint a picture of decades of careful study and gradual progress toward understanding technologies that remain far beyond conventional human capabilities. The images show craft in various states of disassembly, with teams of engineers and scientists working to document every component and system. And the technical drawings reveal attempts to recreate alien technology using human manufacturing methods and materials. The archive materials also reference what are described as biological specimens, though the details of this aspect of the program remain classified at levels above your current clearance. The documents you're allowed to see mention only that some of the recovered craft allegedly contained occupants, and that the study of these beings has contributed to advances in medicine, materials, science, and our understanding of evolutionary biology. These references are brief and clinical, treating extraordinary claims with the same matter-of-fact tone used throughout the technical documentation, and they serve as reminders that the reverse engineering program encompasses discoveries that extend far beyond simple technology transfer. Your work on the gravitational field generators requires you to become familiar with theoretical physics concepts that exist primarily in classified research papers and academic studies that never see publication. You study documents that describe space-time as a manipulable medium, gravity as a force that can be controlled and directed like electromagnetism, and matter itself as a form of energy that can be converted and transformed through processes that conventional science considers impossible. These concepts become part of your daily working vocabulary, and you find yourself thinking about reality in terms that would sound like science fiction to anyone outside the program. The element 115 that allegedly powers the craft exists in quantities so small that each sample is tracked and accounted for with precision that surpasses the security measures used for weapons-grade plutonium. You're told that this material can only be synthesized in microscopic amounts using particle accelerators that barely existed at the time of the alleged crash recoveries, suggesting that the craft were built by a civilization with access to manufacturing capabilities that dwarf anything humans have achieved. The element itself is stored in containment systems that require constant monitoring, and even brief exposure to its effects reportedly produces gravitational anomalies that can be detected by sensitive instruments throughout the facility. Your evenings at S4 are spent in the small recreational area that serves the facility's personnel, a space furnished with basic amenities and designed to provide some relief from the intensity of the classified work environment. Here, conversations flow more freely, though always within the bounds of security protocols, and you find yourself building relationships with colleagues whose backgrounds span multiple disciplines and whose dedication to the program reflects their understanding of its potential significance. These are people who have chosen to dedicate their careers to work that will likely never receive public recognition, driven by curiosity about technologies that could transform human civilization if they were ever declassified and released. The psychological impact of working with technology that officially doesn't exist begins to accumulate over time, creating a sense of living in multiple realities simultaneously. Your professional life involves daily interaction with craft and systems that represent advances beyond current human capabilities, while your personal life, limited to brief communications with family and friends, must maintain the fiction that you're involved in conventional government research. This division creates a form of cognitive dissonance that affects many of the personnel at S4, and the facility provides counseling services specifically designed to help employees navigate the psychological challenges of working on projects that exist outside the normal boundaries of human knowledge. During your 8th month at the facility, you're assigned to a project that involves attempting to interface human-built electronic systems with the control mechanisms of the recovered craft. This work requires developing translation protocols that can bridge the gap between alien technology and human engineering, a process that has allegedly been ongoing for decades with only limited success. The control systems in the craft respond to inputs that seem to bypass conventional electronics entirely, operating through principles that may involve direct neural interface or some form of consciousness-based control that human operators cannot access. The testing protocols for this interface project take place in a specialized laboratory where the electromagnetic environment is carefully controlled to prevent interference with either the human or alien systems. You work with teams of neuroscientists, computer engineers, and theoretical physicists to develop approaches that might allow human operators to communicate with technology that was never designed for human use. The sessions are carefully monitored, with medical personnel standing by to address any physiological effects that might result from exposure to the craft's control fields. And each test generates data that contributes to humanity's gradually expanding understanding of how consciousness might interact with advanced technology. The facility's location in the Nevada desert provides a level of isolation that allows for testing procedures that would be impossible in more populated areas. The nearest civilian population is more than 50 miles away, and the airspace above S4 is restricted to altitudes and flight paths that ensure complete privacy for any experimental activities. This isolation also contributes to the psychological environment of the facility, creating a sense of existing in a world apart from normal human society, where the rules of physics and the boundaries of possibility are constantly being redefined. Your access to historical documentation gradually expands as your security clearance increases, revealing a timeline of recovery events that allegedly span several decades and multiple locations across the American Southwest. The files describe incidents that have been officially explained as weather balloon crashes, military aircraft accidents, or natural phenomena, but which the classified documentation suggests represent encounters with technology of non-terrestrial origin. Each incident reportedly provided additional materials for study, contributing to the gradually expanding collection of craft and components housed at S4 and similar facilities. The progression of your work leads to assignments that require you to consider the broader implications of the reverse engineering program, including questions about disclosure, technological integration, and the potential impact on human civilization if the existence of these projects were ever publicly confirmed. Briefing documents discuss scenarios for controlled release of information, plans for integrating recovered technology into human systems, and assessments of how societies might respond to confirmation that we are not alone in the universe. These considerations operate on timescales that span decades or centuries, reflecting the magnitude of the decisions involved in managing technology that could fundamentally alter the course of human development. The craft themselves seem to exist in a state of suspended animation, their systems dormant, but somehow still maintaining the subtle energy signatures that indicate they remain functional despite being separated from their original operators. When power is applied to their systems, they respond with what appears to be diagnostic routines, as if they are automatically assessing their current status and preparing for operations that never come. These responses suggest a level of artificial intelligence that operates independently of direct control, and the patterns of their diagnostic cycles have become part of the data that researchers study to understand how consciousness and technology might be integrated in ways that human engineering has never achieved. Your daily work routine includes maintaining detailed logs of all system interactions, documenting every anomaly, response pattern, and performance metric generated by the craft and their associated support systems. These logs contribute to databases that span decades of research, representing humanity's most comprehensive study of technology that originates from outside our planet. The data reveals patterns and relationships that suggest the craft were designed according to principles that treat physics, consciousness, and information as aspects of a single unified system, a perspective that challenges the fundamental assumptions of human science and engineering. The materials used in the construction of the craft display properties that remain beyond human manufacturing capabilities, combining strength, flexibility, and electromagnetic characteristics in ways that suggest manufacturing processes that work at the atomic or subatomic level. Attempts to reverse engineer these materials have led to advances in metallurgy, ceramics, and composite materials that have allegedly been integrated into classified military and aerospace programs, though the full capabilities of the original materials remain beyond human replication. Samples of these materials are stored in specialized containment systems, and even small pieces are tracked with the same precision used for strategic nuclear materials. Temperature control within the facility is precisely managed to maintain optimal conditions for both the electronic systems and the recovered materials, with climate control systems that operate continuously to prevent any environmental factors from affecting the delicate balance of the experimental setup. The desert climate outside provides stable conditions that minimize external weather influences, and the facility's underground sections offer additional protection from electromagnetic interference and temperature fluctuations that could affect sensitive measurements. These environmental controls contribute to the laboratory-like atmosphere that pervades S4, where every variable is monitored and controlled to support research that pushes the boundaries of human understanding. Your work shifts gradually toward more theoretical aspects of the program, as your growing understanding of the recovered technology allows you to contribute to research that attempts to develop human-built systems based on the principles observed in the alien craft. This work involves collaborating with theoretical physicists, materials scientists, and engineers from other classified programs to develop technologies that could eventually be integrated into human applications. The research operates under the assumption that successful reverse engineering could lead to advances in energy production, transportation, and manufacturing that would transform human civilization, though the timeline for such developments remains uncertain. The security protocols surrounding your work require regular updates to your clearance level, with each advancement providing access to additional layers of information about the scope and history of the program. These briefings reveal that S4 is part of a larger network of facilities involved in similar research, with coordination occurring at levels of classification that extend beyond your current access. The program appears to involve multiple government agencies, private contractors, and international partners, suggesting a level of cooperation and resource allocation that reflects the perceived importance of successfully reverse engineering the recovered technology. Communication with the outside world remains strictly limited, with all personal contacts monitored and all information sharing, subject to the non-disclosure agreements that govern every aspect of your employment. Family and friends know only that you work for a government contractor on classified research, and the isolation required by your security clearance creates personal challenges that affect many of the facility's personnel. The facility provides support services to help employees maintain personal relationships, despite the restrictions, but the psychological impact of living with such extraordinary secrets affects everyone involved in the program. The testing procedures for the craft's propulsion systems require specialized facilities that can contain the gravitational and electromagnetic effects generated during operational trials. These tests take place in underground chambers that are isolated from the rest of the facility, with monitoring systems that track every measurable parameter during experimental runs. The data from these tests contributes to humanity's understanding of how gravitational fields can be manipulated and controlled, though the full implications of this knowledge remain classified at the highest levels of government and military leadership. Your role in the program gradually expands to include training new personnel who join the project, sharing your accumulated knowledge of the systems and procedures that govern work with technology that officially doesn't exist. These new team members arrive with backgrounds in conventional science and engineering, and watching them adjust to the reality of working with recovered alien technology provides perspective on how dramatically the experience has changed your own understanding of what's possible. The training process involves careful psychological preparation as well as technical education, ensuring that new personnel can handle the cognitive challenges of working with concepts that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality. The facility's research library contains thousands of documents related to the reverse engineering program, including technical manuals, historical reports, and theoretical studies that span decades of research into technologies that remain beyond conventional human understanding. Access to these materials requires specific clearance levels, and the information contained within them represents humanity's most comprehensive study of non-terrestrial technology. The documents trace the evolution of understanding from the early days of the program, when recovered materials were analyzed using conventional methods, to the current sophisticated approaches that blend multiple disciplines in attempts to comprehend technologies that operate according to principles that human science is still developing. The psychological services provided by the facility recognize that working with recovered alien technology creates unique stresses that don't exist in conventional research environments. Counselors specializing in classified programs help personnel navigate the isolation, secrecy, and cognitive challenges that come with daily exposure to evidence that humanity is not alone in the universe. These services address both the practical challenges of maintaining security protocols and the deeper philosophical questions raised by working with technology that suggests civilizations far more advanced than our own. Your assignments begin to include work on what are described as hybrid systems, attempts to integrate recovered alien technology with human-built components to create functional devices that could eventually be used in military or civilian applications. This research represents the practical application of years of reverse engineering work, attempting to bridge the gap between alien capabilities and human manufacturing. The hybrid systems show promise, but remain far from operational, requiring advances in materials, science, power generation, and control systems that may take decades to achieve. The facility's location provides access to additional test sites in the surrounding desert, where larger-scale experiments can be conducted without the risk of civilian observation. These sites are used for testing propulsion systems, energy generation equipment, and other technologies that require space and isolation for safe operation. The desert environment offers ideal conditions for such testing, with minimal electromagnetic interference, stable atmospheric conditions, and terrain that allows for precise measurement of any effects generated by experimental systems. According to the documentation you've gained access to, similar programs are allegedly operating in other countries, suggesting that the recovery and study of non-terrestrial technology is an international phenomenon that governments worldwide are attempting to understand and exploit. The files reference coordination with allied nations, information sharing agreements, and joint research projects that operate under treaty obligations that extend beyond normal diplomatic channels. This international dimension adds complexity to the program, as nations balance cooperation with competition in their efforts to gain technological advantages from recovered alien systems. The craft's navigation systems appear to operate without reference to conventional methods like GPS, inertial guidance, or astronomical navigation, instead using principles that may involve direct sensing of gravitational fields or other fundamental forces. Attempts to understand these systems have contributed to research in theoretical physics, astronomy, and navigation technology, though the full capabilities of the alien systems remain beyond human replication. The navigation data extracted from the craft suggests travel patterns that span interstellar distances, indicating that whoever built these vehicles possesses transportation capabilities that far exceed anything humans have achieved. Your work on power distribution systems reveals that the craft's energy requirements operate on scales that challenge conventional understanding of power generation and consumption. The systems appear to generate energy through processes that may involve the direct conversion of matter to energy, the manipulation of zero-point energy fields, or other mechanisms that conventional physics considers theoretical at best. The power output capabilities of even the smallest systems exceed anything in human technology, suggesting that the civilization that built these craft has solved energy problems that humans are still struggling to understand. The Materials Analysis Laboratory at S4 contains equipment specifically designed to study substances that display properties not found in any naturally occurring terrestrial materials. This equipment can analyze atomic structure, electromagnetic properties, and gravitational effects at levels of precision that rival the most advanced scientific instruments anywhere in the world. The data generated by these analyses contributes to humanity's understanding of how matter can be manipulated and engineered at the atomic level, though the manufacturing processes required to create such materials remain beyond current human capabilities. Temperature fluctuations in the facility are carefully monitored because some of the recovered materials display properties that change dramatically with even minor temperature variations. These materials appear to have been designed to operate within specific thermal ranges, and maintaining optimal conditions requires climate control systems that operate with precision measured in fractions of degrees. The sensitivity of these materials to environmental conditions suggests manufacturing tolerances that exceed anything achieved by human industry, indicating production methods that work at levels of precision that human technology is still developing. Your security clearance eventually provides access to what are described as the communication systems recovered from the craft, devices that allegedly operate without any recognizable transmission methods or receiving equipment. These systems appear to communicate through processes that may involve quantum entanglement, gravitational wave transmission, or other mechanisms that operate outside the electromagnetic spectrum used by human communications. Attempts to activate these systems have produced results that suggest they are still connected to networks that operate on galactic scales, though the nature of these connections remains beyond human understanding. The psychological impact of working with evidence of advanced alien civilizations creates philosophical questions that affect everyone involved in the program. The implications of confirming that humanity is not alone in the universe, that we are in fact among the least technologically advanced species in our region of the galaxy, challenges fundamental assumptions about human uniqueness and our place in the cosmic order. These questions are addressed through regular seminars and discussion groups that help personnel process the implications of their work while maintaining the security protocols that prevent public disclosure. The craft's structural design reveals engineering principles that optimize for conditions that don't exist in Earth's environment, suggesting that they were built for operation in the vacuum of space, in different gravitational fields, or under atmospheric conditions that don't match terrestrial parameters. This analysis contributes to human understanding of spacecraft design, though the manufacturing methods required to achieve such optimization remain beyond current capabilities. The structural materials display strength-to-weight ratios that exceed the theoretical limits of any known terrestrial materials, indicating manufacturing processes that work at the molecular or atomic level. Your daily routine includes participating in briefings that discuss the broader implications of the reverse engineering program, including assessments of how the recovered technology might be integrated into human applications, while maintaining security protocols that prevent unauthorized disclosure. These discussions operate on timescales that span decades, as the complexity of the technology and the security concerns surrounding it require careful planning for any eventual public revelation or technological transfer. The briefings address scenarios for controlled disclosure, technological integration, and international cooperation that could eventually allow humanity to benefit from the advanced capabilities demonstrated by the recovered craft. The facility's computer systems are isolated from all external networks, operating as closed systems that prevent any possibility of unauthorized access to the classified research data. All information transfer occurs through secure physical media that is tracked and monitored throughout its life cycle, and all personnel access is logged and reviewed to ensure compliance with security protocols. These measures reflect the understanding that the information contained within S4's databases represents knowledge that could transform human civilization if it were ever released, and the responsibility for protecting this information affects every aspect of operations at the facility. According to the historical documentation, the reverse engineering program has contributed to advances in multiple fields of human technology, though these contributions are carefully managed to prevent the appearance of sudden technological leaps that might raise questions about their origin. The integration of recovered technology into human applications occurs through a process of gradual introduction that maintains the fiction that these advances represent natural progression of human research and development. This process requires coordination between the classified programs and conventional research institutions to ensure that technological progress appears consistent with normal human innovation. The craft's life support systems, where they exist, operate according to principles that suggest the beings who built them have different physiological requirements than humans. Analysis of these systems contributes to understanding of how different forms of life might evolve under different planetary conditions, and how technology might be adapted to support various forms of consciousness. The data from these studies has allegedly contributed to advances in life support technology for human space exploration, though the full implications of this research remain classified. Your work assignments eventually include participation in what are described as consciousness interface experiments, attempts to determine whether the craft's control systems are designed to respond to direct mental commands rather than conventional physical controls. These experiments require careful monitoring of both the human volunteers and the craft's systems to detect any interactions that might occur at levels below conventional measurement. The results suggest that the craft may indeed be designed for operators whose consciousness can interface directly with their technological systems, a capability that humans have not yet developed. The security protocols for the program extend to include regular psychological evaluations that assess each person's ability to maintain the classified nature of their work while managing the psychological stresses of working with evidence that challenges fundamental assumptions about reality. These evaluations are conducted by specialists who understand the unique challenges of classified programs and who provide support services tailored to the specific needs of personnel working with recovered alien technology. The evaluations ensure that all personnel remain psychologically stable and capable of maintaining security protocols despite the extraordinary nature of their daily work. The facility's research into the craft's manufacturing methods reveals production techniques that operate at scales smaller than anything achieved by human industry, with precision that approaches the atomic level and quality control that produces materials with properties that remain consistent across the entire structure of each vehicle. Attempts to replicate these manufacturing methods have led to advances in nanotechnology, precision engineering, and quality control that have been integrated into classified military and aerospace programs. However, the full capabilities demonstrated by the alien manufacturing remain beyond human replication, suggesting production methods that may require centuries of additional human technological development to achieve. Your role in the program gradually evolves to include participation in planning sessions that consider the long-term implications of successful reverse engineering, including scenarios for how advanced propulsion technology, energy generation systems, and materials science could be integrated into human civilization. These planning sessions operate under the assumption that eventual public disclosure of the program's existence will be necessary, and they address questions about how to prepare society for the technological and philosophical implications of confirming that we are not alone in the universe. The planning process involves coordination with multiple government agencies, international partners, and civilian institutions that would be affected by such disclosure. Temperature monitoring throughout the facility reveals that the craft and their associated systems generate subtle thermal signatures that vary in patterns that suggest ongoing internal processes, even when the vehicles appear to be completely dormant. These thermal patterns are carefully tracked and analyzed as part of the effort to understand how the craft's systems maintain themselves during extended periods of inactivity. The data suggests that the vehicles possess self-maintenance capabilities that operate automatically, indicating a level of technological sophistication that exceeds anything in human engineering. The craft's sensor systems, where they can be identified and analyzed, appear to monitor multiple aspects of their environment simultaneously, collecting data about gravitational fields, electromagnetic radiation, atmospheric composition, and other parameters through methods that don't correspond to any human sense or technology. These systems continue to operate even when the craft are in storage, suggesting that they maintain constant awareness of their surroundings and may be transmitting data to external networks through communication methods that human technology cannot detect. The implications of this ongoing monitoring capability raise questions about whether the craft are still connected to their original operators, and whether human activities at S4 are being observed and recorded by non-terrestrial intelligence. Your assignments begin to include work on what are described as predictive analysis projects, attempts to use the recovered technology and associated data to develop assessments of what other capabilities might exist in the civilization that built the craft. This analysis operates on the assumption that the vehicles represent just a small sample of the technological capabilities possessed by their builders, and that understanding their full capabilities could help humanity prepare for eventual contact with representatives of that civilization. The predictive analysis draws on data from multiple sources, including the technical specifications of the craft, the materials used in their construction, and the operational parameters suggested by their design. The facility's isolation in the Nevada desert provides conditions that allow for experiments and testing procedures that would be impossible in more populated areas. And the stable climate and minimal electromagnetic interference create an ideal environment for sensitive measurements and observations. The desert location also provides psychological benefits for personnel, as the vast open spaces and clear night skies offer opportunities for reflection and perspective that help balance the intense focus required by the classified research. The facility takes advantage of this environment by providing recreational areas and outdoor spaces where personnel can experience some relief from the highly controlled indoor environment where most of the research takes place. According to the documentation you've gained access to, the reverse engineering program represents one of the most significant scientific undertakings in human history, involving resources, personnel, and coordination that span multiple decades and involve some of the most advanced research institutions in the world. The program operates under security classifications that ensure its existence remains unknown to most government officials, scientists, and military personnel, creating a hidden infrastructure of research and development that parallels and sometimes exceeds the capabilities of publicly acknowledged programs. The scope of this hidden infrastructure suggests that the implications of the recovered technology are considered so significant that they justify maintaining parallel scientific and engineering communities that operate entirely outside public awareness. The craft's environmental control systems, where they exist, maintain atmospheric conditions that differ from Earth's atmosphere in ways that suggest the beings who built them evolved under different planetary conditions. Analysis of these systems provides insights into how life might develop on other worlds and how technology might be adapted to support different forms of consciousness under various environmental conditions. This research contributes to human understanding of astrobiology, planetary science, and life support technology, though the full implications of this knowledge remain classified within the program. Your security clearance eventually provides access to what are described as the historical records of the program, documents that trace the development of reverse engineering efforts from their earliest days in the 1940s through the current sophisticated research programs. These records reveal that the program has involved thousands of personnel over the decades, including some of the most distinguished scientists and engineers of their generations, and that the accumulated knowledge represents humanity's most comprehensive study of technology that originates from outside our planet. The historical records also reveal that the program has produced numerous technological advances that have been integrated into human applications, though these contributions remain classified and their origins are not acknowledged in public scientific literature. The psychological services provided by the facility include support for personnel who struggle with the implications of their work, as exposure to evidence of advanced alien civilizations can create existential questions that affect personal beliefs about humanity's place in the universe. Counselors specializing in classified programs help personnel process these questions while maintaining the security protocols that prevent public disclosure of the program's existence. The services recognize that working with recovered alien technology creates unique psychological challenges that don't exist in conventional research environments, and they provide specialized support tailored to the needs of personnel dealing with information that challenges fundamental assumptions about reality. The craft's power systems appear to operate according to principles that allow them to generate energy outputs that far exceed their apparent input requirements, suggesting that they access energy sources that human science considers theoretical at best. The energy generation methods may involve the manipulation of vacuum energy, the direct conversion of matter to energy at efficiencies approaching 100%, or the extraction of energy from gravitational fields themselves. These possibilities represent solutions to energy problems that have challenged human civilization for centuries, and successful reverse engineering of these systems could transform how humanity approaches power generation, transportation, and manufacturing. Your work on the interface systems gradually reveals that the craft appear to be designed for operators whose consciousness can directly interact with their technological systems, bypassing the need for conventional physical controls. This discovery suggests that the beings who built these vehicles have developed forms of consciousness that can interface directly with their technology, creating a symbiotic relationship between operator and machine that human psychology has not yet achieved. The implications of this discovery extend beyond simple technology transfer, suggesting that successful operation of the craft may require evolutionary or technological modifications to human consciousness itself. The Materials Research Laboratory contains samples of substances that display properties that change in response to electromagnetic fields, temperature variations, and gravitational anomalies in ways that suggest they were designed to function as integrated components of larger systems. These materials appear to be programmable at the atomic level, with structures that can be modified to perform different functions depending on the input conditions. The manufacturing methods required to create such materials remain beyond human capabilities, but the research contributes to advances in materials science, nanotechnology, and programmable matter that may eventually allow humans to replicate some of these capabilities. Temperature control systems throughout the facility maintain conditions that optimize the stability of both the recovered materials and the sensitive electronic equipment used to study them. The desert climate provides natural stability that minimizes external weather influences, while the facility's climate control systems operate with precision that ensures optimal conditions for research activities. The temperature monitoring data reveals that some of the recovered materials generate their own thermal signatures, suggesting internal processes that continue to operate even when the materials appear to be dormant. Your assignments eventually include participation in theoretical modeling projects that attempt to develop mathematical descriptions of the physical principles observed in the craft's operations. This work involves collaboration with theoretical physicists, mathematicians, and computer scientists to develop models that can accurately predict the behavior of systems that operate according to principles not found in conventional physics. The theoretical models contribute to advances in fundamental physics, though the full implications of this research remain classified within the program. The craft's navigation systems appear to operate without reference to conventional astronomical markers, instead using principles that may involve direct sensing of gravitational fields, quantum-scale navigation references, or other methods that operate outside the electromagnetic spectrum used by human navigation technology. Data extracted from these systems suggests that the craft are capable of interstellar navigation with precision that exceeds anything achieved by human space exploration. The navigation data also reveals travel patterns that span multiple star systems, indicating that the civilization that built these vehicles possesses transportation capabilities that allow routine travel between distant locations in the galaxy. The facility's communication systems are designed to operate in complete isolation from external networks, with all data transfer occurring through secure physical media that is tracked and monitored throughout its life cycle. Personnel communications with the outside world are strictly limited and monitored to ensure compliance with security protocols. These measures reflect the understanding that the information contained within the facility represents knowledge that could transform human civilization if it were ever released without proper authorization and preparation. According to the briefing materials, the reverse engineering program has produced numerous technological advances that have been carefully integrated into human applications through processes that maintain the appearance of natural technological progression. These contributions span multiple fields, including materials, science, energy generation, propulsion technology, and manufacturing methods, though their origins remain classified and their full capabilities are not revealed in public applications. The integration process requires careful coordination between classified programs and conventional research institutions to ensure that technological advances appear consistent with normal human innovation. The craft's structural analysis reveals engineering principles that optimize for operational conditions that don't exist in Earth's environment, suggesting that they were designed for routine operation in the vacuum of space under different gravitational conditions or in atmospheric environments that differ significantly from terrestrial parameters. This analysis contributes to human understanding of spacecraft design and extraterrestrial engineering, though the manufacturing methods required to achieve such optimization remain beyond current human capabilities. Your role in the program expands to include training responsibilities for new personnel joining the project, sharing accumulated knowledge of systems and procedures that govern work with technology that officially doesn't exist. The training process involves both technical education and psychological preparation, ensuring that new team members can handle the cognitive challenges of working with concepts that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality. Watching new personnel adjust to the reality of working with recovered alien technology provides perspective on how dramatically the experience changes one's understanding of what's possible in the universe. The facility's research library contains documentation that spans decades of study into technologies that remain beyond conventional human understanding, including technical manuals, historical reports, and theoretical studies that represent humanity's most comprehensive analysis of non-terrestrial technology. Access to these materials requires specific security clearances, and the information contained within them traces the evolution of understanding from early attempts to analyze recovered materials, using conventional methods to current sophisticated approaches that blend multiple scientific disciplines. The psychological support services recognize that working with recovered alien technology creates unique stresses that don't exist in conventional research environments. Personnel must navigate the isolation required by security protocols. The cognitive challenges of working with concepts that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality, and the philosophical implications of confirming that humanity is not alone in the universe. Specialized counseling services help personnel manage these challenges while maintaining the security protocols that prevent unauthorized disclosure of the program's existence. Your work on hybrid systems attempts to integrate recovered alien technology with human-built components to create functional devices that could eventually be used in practical applications. This research represents the practical application of years of reverse engineering work, attempting to bridge the gap between alien capabilities and human manufacturing limitations. The hybrid systems show promise but remain far from operational, requiring advances in multiple fields that may take decades to achieve. The facility's location in the Nevada desert provides access to additional test sites where larger-scale experiments can be conducted without risk of civilian observation. These sites are used for testing propulsion systems, energy generation equipment, and other technologies that require space and isolation for safe operation. The desert environment offers ideal conditions for such testing, with minimal electromagnetic interference, stable atmospheric conditions, and terrain that allows for precise measurement of experimental effects. According to the documentation, similar programs allegedly operate in other countries, suggesting that the recovery and study of non-terrestrial technology is an international phenomenon that governments worldwide are attempting to understand and exploit. The files reference coordination agreements, information sharing protocols, and joint research projects that operate under treaty obligations extending beyond normal diplomatic channels. This international dimension adds complexity to the program, as nations balance cooperation with competition in their efforts to gain technological advantages from recovered alien systems. The craft's life support systems, where they can be identified, operate according to principles that suggest their builders have different physiological requirements than humans. Analysis of these systems contributes to understanding of how different forms of life might evolve under various planetary conditions and how technology might be adapted to support different types of consciousness. This research has allegedly contributed to advances in life support technology for human space exploration, though the full implications remain classified. Your security clearance provides access to consciousness interface experiments that attempt to determine whether the craft's control systems respond to direct mental commands rather than conventional physical controls. These experiments require careful monitoring of both human volunteers and the craft systems to detect interactions that might occur below conventional measurement thresholds. The results suggest that the craft may indeed be designed for operators whose consciousness can interface directly with technological systems, a capability that humans have not yet developed. The facility's manufacturing research attempts to understand production techniques that operate at scales smaller than anything achieved by human industry, with precision approaching the atomic level and quality control that produces materials with consistent properties throughout entire vehicle structures. Attempts to replicate these methods have contributed to advances in nanotechnology and precision engineering, though the full capabilities demonstrated by alien manufacturing remain beyond human replication. Temperature monitoring reveals that the craft generates subtle thermal signatures that vary in patterns suggesting ongoing internal processes, even when the vehicles appear completely dormant. These patterns are tracked as part of efforts to understand how the craft's systems maintain themselves during extended periods of inactivity. The data suggests that the vehicles possess self-maintenance capabilities that operate automatically, indicating technological sophistication that exceeds anything in human engineering. The craft's sensor systems appear to monitor multiple environmental aspects simultaneously, collecting data about gravitational fields, electromagnetic radiation, atmospheric composition, and other parameters through methods that don't correspond to any human sensor technology. These systems continue operating even when craft are in storage, suggesting they maintain constant environmental awareness and may transmit data to external networks through communication methods that human technology cannot detect. Your assignments include predictive analysis projects that attempt to use recovered technology and associated data to develop assessments of what other capabilities might exist in the civilization that built the craft. This analysis operates on the assumption that the vehicles represent just a small sample of the technological capabilities possessed by their builders, and that understanding their full capabilities could help humanity prepare for eventual contact with representatives of that civilization. The program's scope represents one of the most significant scientific undertakings in human history, involving resources and coordination that span multiple decades and include some of the most advanced research institutions in the world. The program operates under security classifications that ensure its existence remains unknown to most government officials, creating a hidden infrastructure of research and development that parallels and sometimes exceeds publicly acknowledged programs. The craft's environmental control systems maintain atmospheric conditions that differ from Earth's atmosphere in ways suggesting their builders evolved under different planetary conditions. Analysis provides insights into how life might develop on other worlds, and how technology might be adapted to support different forms of consciousness under various environmental conditions. This research contributes to understanding of astrobiology and planetary science, though the full implications remain classified. Your access to historical records reveals that the program has involved thousands of personnel over decades, including distinguished scientists and engineers, and that accumulated knowledge represents humanity's most comprehensive study of technology originating from outside our planet. The records also reveal that the program has produced numerous technological advances integrated into human applications, though these contributions remain classified and their origins are not publicly acknowledged. The psychological services include support for personnel struggling with implications of their work, as exposure to evidence of advanced alien civilizations can create existential questions affecting personal beliefs about humanity's place in the universe. Specialized counseling helps personnel process these questions while maintaining security protocols that prevent public disclosure of the program's existence. The facility's isolation provides conditions allowing experiments that would be impossible in populated areas, while the stable desert climate creates ideal conditions for sensitive measurements and observations. The location also provides psychological benefits, as vast open spaces and clear night skies offer opportunities for reflection that help balance the intense focus required by classified research. Your work gradually shifts toward theoretical aspects, as your understanding allows contribution to research attempting to develop human-built systems based on principles observed in alien craft. This involves collaboration with physicists, materials scientists, and engineers from other classified programs to develop technologies that could eventually be integrated into human applications. The research operates under assumptions that successful reverse engineering could lead to advances in energy production, transportation, and manufacturing that would transform human civilization. The craft's power generation methods may involve manipulation of vacuum energy, direct matter-to-energy conversion at near-perfect efficiency, or extraction of energy from gravitational fields themselves. These possibilities represent solutions to energy problems that have challenged human civilization for centuries, and successful reverse engineering could transform how humanity approaches power generation, transportation, and manufacturing. The materials display programmable properties at the atomic level, with structures that can be modified to perform different functions depending on input conditions. The manufacturing methods required to create such materials remain beyond human capabilities. But research contributes to advances in materials science, nanotechnology, and programmable matter that may eventually allow humans to replicate some of these capabilities. Your theoretical modeling work attempts to develop mathematical descriptions of physical principles observed in the craft's operations. This involves collaboration with theoretical physicists, mathematicians, and computer scientists to develop models that can accurately predict behavior of systems operating according to principles not found in conventional physics. The theoretical models contribute to advances in fundamental physics, though full implications remain classified. The navigation systems suggest interstellar travel capabilities, with precision exceeding anything achieved by human space exploration. Navigation data reveals travel patterns spanning multiple star systems, indicating that the civilization possessing these vehicles has transportation capabilities, allowing routine travel between distant galactic locations. This suggests a level of technological development that positions humanity as a relatively primitive civilization in the broader context of galactic society. The facility's research into consciousness interface capabilities suggests that successful operation of the craft may require evolutionary or technological modifications to human consciousness itself. This discovery implies that the beings who built these vehicles have developed forms of consciousness that can interface directly with their technology, creating symbiotic relationships between operator and machine that human psychology has not yet achieved. The program's international dimensions involve coordination with allied nations, information sharing agreements, and joint research projects operating under treaty obligations extending beyond normal diplomatic channels. This cooperation reflects the understanding that the implications of recovered alien technology extend beyond national boundaries and require coordinated responses from the international community. Your role in training new personnel reveals how dramatically exposure to this technology changes one's understanding of reality and humanity's place in the universe. The training process must address both technical education and psychological preparation for working with concepts that challenge fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality, consciousness, and humanity's relationship to the broader cosmos. The craft's self-maintenance capabilities suggest technological sophistication that operates autonomously, maintaining system integrity and functionality even during extended periods of apparent dormancy. This indicates manufacturing and design principles that create technology capable of self-repair, self-monitoring, and self-optimization over timeframes that exceed the operational life of human-built systems. The facility's climate control systems maintain optimal conditions for both recovered materials and sensitive research equipment, with precision that ensures stable conditions for long-term study of materials and systems that display properties sensitive to environmental variations. The desert location provides natural stability that minimizes external influences while allowing for controlled experimentation under consistent conditions. Your work on hybrid systems represents attempts to bridge the gap between alien capabilities and human manufacturing limitations, creating functional devices that could eventually be used in practical applications. This research requires advances in multiple fields including materials, science, energy generation, control systems, and manufacturing techniques that may require decades of development to achieve. The program's security protocols ensure complete isolation from external networks and unauthorized access, with all information transfer occurring through secure physical media tracked throughout its life cycle. These measures reflect understanding that the information represents knowledge that could transform human civilization if released without proper authorization and preparation. The craft's structural optimization for non-terrestrial operational conditions suggests design principles that account for environments and operational parameters that don't exist on Earth. This analysis contributes to understanding of extraterrestrial engineering and spacecraft design, though manufacturing methods required to achieve such optimization remain beyond current human capabilities. According to the documentation, technological advances from the program have been carefully integrated into human applications through processes maintaining the appearance of natural technological progression. These contributions span multiple fields, but their origins remain classified, and their full capabilities are not revealed in public applications. The research library's documentation represents humanity's most comprehensive analysis of non-terrestrial technology, tracing evolution of understanding from early conventional analysis methods to current sophisticated approaches, blending multiple scientific disciplines. The accumulated knowledge provides insights into technological development pathways that could guide human advancement for centuries. Your expanding role includes participation in long-term planning sessions, considering implications of successful reverse engineering and scenarios for eventual public disclosure of the program's existence. These discussions address preparation of society for technological and philosophical implications of confirming that humanity is not alone in the universe. The craft's environmental monitoring capabilities suggest ongoing awareness of their surroundings even during storage, with possible transmission of data to external networks through communication methods that human technology cannot detect. This raises questions about whether human activities are being observed and recorded by non-terrestrial intelligence. The facility's psychological support services recognize unique challenges of working with information that challenges fundamental assumptions about reality while maintaining security protocols preventing public disclosure. Specialized counseling addresses both practical challenges of classified work and deeper philosophical questions raised by evidence of advanced alien civilizations. Your work on interface systems reveals that the craft appear designed for operators whose consciousness can directly interact with technological systems, bypassing conventional physical controls. This suggests evolutionary or technological development that humans have not yet achieved and may be necessary for successful operation of the recovered vehicles. The program's hidden infrastructure operates parallel to publicly acknowledged research programs, sometimes exceeding their capabilities while maintaining complete secrecy. This suggests that the implications of recovered alien technology are considered so significant that they justify maintaining separate scientific communities operating entirely outside public awareness. The materials research reveals substances with properties that change in response to electromagnetic fields, temperature variations, and gravitational anomalies, suggesting design as integrated components of larger systems. These programmable materials represent manufacturing capabilities that exceed current human technology, but contribute to advances in materials science and nanotechnology. Your theoretical analysis work attempts to develop mathematical models describing physical principles that don't exist in conventional physics. This contributes to advances in fundamental physics, while providing frameworks for understanding how alien technology might operate, according to principles that human science is still developing. The craft's navigation capabilities suggest routine interstellar travel, with precision exceeding human space exploration achievements. This positions humanity as a relatively primitive civilization in the broader context of galactic society, with technological development that may require centuries to achieve comparable capabilities. The facility's research conditions provide optimal environments for studying materials and systems that display properties sensitive to environmental variations. The desert location offers natural stability while allowing controlled experimentation under consistent conditions necessary for long-term study of recovered alien technology. Your role in consciousness interface research suggests that successful operation of alien craft may require modifications to human consciousness itself. This discovery implies that the beings who built these vehicles have developed forms of consciousness capable of direct technological interface, creating possibilities for human development that extend beyond conventional technological advancement. The program's international coordination reflects understanding that recovered alien technology implications extend beyond national boundaries and require coordinated responses from the global community. This cooperation involves information sharing and joint research under treaty obligations that operate outside normal diplomatic channels. The craft's self-maintenance capabilities indicate manufacturing principles that create technology capable of autonomous operation, self-repair, and self-optimization over time frames exceeding human-built systems. This suggests technological sophistication that operates independently of direct oversight, maintaining functionality even during extended periods of apparent dormancy. Your training responsibilities for new personnel reveal how exposure to this technology fundamentally changes understanding of reality and humanity's place in the universe. The preparation process must address both technical education and psychological adjustment to working with concepts that challenge fundamental assumptions about consciousness, reality, and humanity's relationship to the broader cosmos. The facility's security measures ensure complete isolation and protection of information that could transform human civilization. These protocols reflect the magnitude of responsibility associated with managing knowledge that could fundamentally alter the course of human development if released without proper preparation and authorization. As your time at S4 extends into years, the accumulated exposure to technology that challenges every assumption about the limits of physics and engineering begins to shift your perspective on humanity's place in the universe. You find yourself thinking in terms of galactic civilizations, interstellar travel, and technological capabilities that exceed human achievement by orders of magnitude. The work becomes not just a professional assignment, but a window into possibilities that most humans never imagine. And the responsibility of maintaining secrecy about discoveries that could transform civilization weighs heavily on everyone involved in the program. The desert nights at S4 offer moments of reflection when you step outside the facility and look up at stars that no longer seem like distant points of light, but potential destinations for civilizations whose technological capabilities you encounter daily in your work. The vastness of space takes on new meaning when you understand that it contains intelligences and technologies that dwarf human achievement. And the isolation of the Nevada desert provides perfect conditions for contemplating humanity's relationship to the broader cosmos. Your work continues day after day, maintaining and studying systems that officially don't exist, contributing to humanity's gradual understanding of technologies that could transform civilization, and carrying the weight of secrets that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality. The routine of classified research blends with the extraordinary nature of the discoveries, creating a life that exists simultaneously in the mundane world of technical documentation and security protocols, and the extraordinary realm of recovered alien technology. And as the desert wind carries the scent of sage across the facility grounds, and the stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns, you settle into sleep, knowing that tomorrow will bring another day of working with technology that proves humanity is not alone in the universe. The dreams that come are filled with distant worlds, impossible technologies, and the quiet satisfaction of contributing to humanity's greatest adventure. An adventure that remains hidden in the Nevada desert, where the boundary between the known and unknown dissolves like morning mist under the desert sun. The night air grows cooler as the story settles into the desert silence, and sleep comes naturally here at the Dreamwave Motel, where stories find their rest. Tomorrow will bring new journeys, new mysteries, and new possibilities. But for now, there is only the gentle rhythm of desert winds and the infinite expanse of stars that hold secrets we are only beginning to understand. Rest well, traveler, in the knowledge that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever dared imagine.